Hi, and welcome back to Marion's Money Talk podcast episode 2. I hope your week is going well. In the last episode, we spoke about stock investing, and we have had many people came to ask about how different is Sharia stock investing and what constitutes to a Sharia compliant stock. And people tend to refrain from investing when they do not have enough information to act on. So with that, I have the pleasure of having Zakiy, one of our co-founders of Marion, joining us today along with Andrew and John to discuss the difference between stock investing and Sharia stock investing, and also to understand what it means to be a Sharia compliant stock. Also, we will explore how easy it is to build a Sharia compliant portfolio. So let me first introduce you to Zakiy. Hello, Zakiy.
Hi, Evelyn.
Hi, and hello, John, and hello, Andrew.
Hi, hello. Thanks for having us again.
Hi, Evelyn.
Thanks for having you guys. Yeah. All right. So, Zakiy, can you please tell us a bit about yourself? And do you do stock trading or investing? If so, when did you first start?
Hi, I'm the CTO and co-founder of Marion. I've been investing ever since I started working. That'll be approximately about 15 years. So yeah, since then I've been starting.
Wow, it's been a while. That's great. So, do you invest in Bursa Malaysia or foreign stocks?
I mainly invest in Bursa Malaysia, mainly because as a Muslim, I prefer to invest in Sharia compliant stocks. So if I were to invest in foreign stocks, it's a bit difficult because I would have to do my own due diligence to identify whether they are Sharia compliant or not, because foreign companies or foreign stocks, normally they are not regulated or governed by any Sharia laws. So it's different in Malaysia. In Bursa Malaysia, we do have Sharia. They do have a clear-cut Sharia compliant stocks, which they do have a guideline and law that these stocks should follow to be considered Sharia compliant. In Malaysia, I mean, Bursa Malaysia, it's about 79% of them are Sharia compliant. So it's much easier for me to pick and invest stocks in Bursa Malaysia.
That's cool. Great to know that. So, in other words, so when you guys, when our Muslim brothers and sisters build a portfolio, they would have to pick stocks very, very carefully to make sure that those stocks are Sharia compliant. Is my understanding right, Zakiy?
Yes. As a Muslim, you have to be careful with where you put your money or how you earn your money. Yeah, so that's true.
Awesome. So that's a very good information for me, and I learned something new. That's great. So, Zakiy, can you please explain to us what is a Sharia compliant stock and how different is a Sharia compliant stock to a non-Sharia compliant stock?
Okay, when you say Sharia compliant stocks, right? So it's like basically stocks which are governed by the requirements of the Sharia law and principles of Islamic religion. So these kind of funds they do have certain thresholds. For example, you cannot have the elements of gambling, alcohol, or uncertainty, or in Arabic they call it garar, or even riba, which is interest. So sometimes these things, how to say, there's this Islamic councils or Sharia councils that sets these guidelines and so forth. They do have some minimum guidelines for them to follow to be considered as Sharia compliant.
That's very, very interesting. And in fact, you brought on a very interesting point in your previous answers, where you mentioned about, most stocks in Bursa Malaysia, at least 79% are Sharia compliant. So is it hard to actually find and pick a Sharia compliant stock? And also, where can people actually check if a stock is actually Sharia compliant?
Okay, to check a Sharia compliant stock, whether a stock adheres to this Sharia requirement or not, this thing, if you have to do on your own, is a bit tedious. But fortunately for us in Malaysia, this list is available from the Security Commission's website. They update this list twice a year. It's a PDF everyone can download. So they do list out all the Sharia compliant stocks as well as those newly added ones. right? So we can have a look from there and make our choices.
Right. It sounds like, if we were to do it ourselves and to look at and identify which are the Sharia stocks that one should invest in, it will probably take us quite a fair bit of time. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, because to say Sharia compliant, it's not as easy as just saying the company shouldn't be investing in alcohol or it's not in pork. It's a bit more than that. Sometimes companies can't run away from banking institution that charges interest. So there are some thresholds that's allowed, and there's what do you call it, certain elements that is allowed there. So all this for a layman is a bit difficult to comprehend. So that's why we have scholars who help us to set this and go through these stocks and screen it for us.
Sure. Yep, that's very, very interesting indeed. And thanks so much for all this information. It's really very helpful for us in understanding, a Sharia compliant stock and, the importance of it to Muslim brothers and sisters in building a Sharia compliant portfolio. Zakiy and Andrew, given that now we have heard about the importance of Sharia compliant portfolios to our fellow Muslim brothers and sisters, can you both walk through how Marion could actually help our users in first identifying Sharia compliant stocks, and also how they could utilize our Marion app to inform their investment decision-making process? So Zakiy?
Yeah, as for Marion, we do have a built-in Sharia screener. So which means to say when you search for a Sharia, when you search for a stock, you can actually turn on the Sharia screener or filter, which only gives you Sharia compliant stocks. So all this is so simplified. You don't even have to go to, as I mentioned earlier, you don't have to download the PDF. You don't have to go through one by one just to see whether this stock is compliant or not. All these are cross-checked and cross-referenced. All you have to do is just search for it. If it appears, then just invest in it.
That's great. And Andrew, would you like to also add on?
I would also like to add to what Zakiy had said. So based on our informal sort of chat and discussions with users who are using other brokerage platforms, one of the pain points that they have is it is hard for them to keep track of the Sharia compliant status of their stock holdings. So for example, it is possible that a Sharia compliant stock that you buy today may not necessarily be Sharia compliant after a period of time, let's say 1 year later. And this can be due to many reasons. Perhaps there was a change in the company's direction, there was a different method in terms of their operations, or even collaboration with new business partners. So with most brokerage platforms in the market, it is very likely that the customer will need to manually assess the Sharia compliance status of their stock holdings from time to time. But let's face it, right? With so many things going on in our lives, nobody has the time to sit down and do this. With the Marion app, this process is done automatically for our users. So whenever a stock that they hold has a change in its Sharia compliance status, Marion will send notifications to our users. And based on this up-to-date information, our users can then choose whether to sell the stock and keep their investments Sharia compliant. So our users can save time and effort and don't have to worry about their portfolio not being Sharia compliant.
This is indeed a very helpful one to our users who are looking to build a Sharia compliant portfolio. Well, do you guys have other closing thoughts that you would like to impart to our listeners? Perhaps maybe a quick tips on, investing, especially now that the market has gone really volatile.
Yeah, I'll tell our young listeners, especially our Muslim brothers and sisters, start investing at early age, probably once you have some savings, probably a year after you start working, or at least learn how to trade using platform simulators. Simulator platforms like in Marion, we do have that, right? So with all these modern apps, Marion, okay, all these informations are at fingertips, especially when you want to build a Sharia compliant portfolio. It's very easy, it's very quick. So you don't have to wait, start investing early, start investing young.
That's a very, very good tip, Zakiy. So, John, do you have any tips for our listeners?
Yeah, sure. I think that at Marion, we believe in inclusivity, and our approach to include useful features like the Sharia compliant portfolio builder and screeners as the right step in the right direction, as an inclusive wealth building tool for all Malaysians. Now, you as our listener have a chance to make your voices heard, by choosing, well, at the risk of self-promoting, an inclusive technology solution like Marion's for your choice of investing experience.
That's a very good one, John. Right, Andrew, do you have any tips for our listeners?
Probably just a quick one. My quick tip is just really simple. Buy what you believe in and always think long-term when considering the stocks that you want to buy.
That's awesome. Those are really, really insightful tips. Just before we end today's episode, I want to share a little story with you guys about what happened to me on Tuesday morning. So when I woke up and saw the market returns on the news, I was in absolute shock when I saw a sea of red. While the US market went on a very interesting ride the night before, with Dow Jones slumping 1,100 points. And on the same day, it recovered to positive territory just before closing, and it all happened in the same day. This is a very, very classic example of market volatility. And similarly to our Malaysian market, the KLCI also fell on the same day by 12.95 points. With all these uncertainties that are brewing, a few of my friends and I actually had a water cooler chat just to discuss if we should sell off our stock positions or if we should actually hold on to our positions given that we are quite unsure of what's going to happen next. And to be honest, at that point, I was secretly wishing and hoping that I would have Marion at hand at that point because it would provide me with all the information I need to make an informed investment decision. Whether is it to sell or to hold or to buy a particular stock through our sentiment analyzer and aggregated analyst consensus, because then I would know what the experts are recommending for that particular stock. And in fact, with the impending rate hikes and uncertainties and a potential market downturn, a lot of people are getting nervous and getting anxious about what's going to happen next and what to do next. But there is a particular quote that's very, very close to my heart, and it is from Warren Buffett. And it actually follows with me throughout my investing journey, where he mentioned, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. So today I impart this quote to you and hoping that it would leave you with something to think about in this volatile market. Well, thanks for tuning in today, and I hope you find today's episode useful in your investing journey. If you would like to know more about Marion, please visit our website at marion.asia. Also, don't forget to sign up to our waitlist to stand a chance to win an iPhone 13. If you have any topics that you would like us to cover in our future episodes, please write to us at hello@marion.asia. We welcome any suggestions of topics and also feedback. Well, given with the volatility and also the uncertainties that's currently happening in our equities market, we will be discussing the importance of diversification in portfolio construction in our next episode. So, stay tuned to learn more.